transfer or delegate any function, power, responsibility, or duty of any officer to one or more other local government units, the state, or the United States. And whereas Montana Code Annotated Title VII, Chapter 11, Part 1, the Interlocal Cooperation Act, authorizes political subdivisions to create interlocal agreements to jointly perform any undertaking that each such political subdivision unit is authorized by law to perform. And whereas Montana Code Annotated Section 2-9-211 authorizes political subdivisions of the state to procure insurance separately or jointly with other subdivisions, and to use a deductible or self-insurance plan wholly or in part. And whereas the Montana Municipal Interlocal Authority, the authority, is a joint exercise of powers entity established pursuant to an interlocal cooperation agreement in accordance with the provisions of the Interlocal Cooperation Act for the purpose of providing pooled risk coverage programs for the member entity and other political subdivisions executing the interlocal agreement. And whereas the authority is authorized to exercise necessary powers to implement the purposes of the authority as established by the interlocal agreement, whereas by executing this first amended property program agreement, the member entity signatory hereto has heretofore determined and does hereby confirm that the assessments and other charges required by the program property have been and are just and reasonable and advantageous to the public benefit of the citizens of such member entity, and therefore be it resolved that the city, town of Townsend hereby approves and adopts this amended and restated property program agreement.
Mayor, I make a motion to accept resolution number 2026-R101 as stated.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number 2026-R01. Is there further discussion from council? Any comments from public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Okay.
Peter still with us?
Oh. I know, Peter, are you still with us?
That would be no.
Okay. Also would inform council that sign this resolution, and then there is a certificate of the minutes that we'll need to fill out, as I understand. There is a required attorney review, which I have that letter signed from our city attorney that says essentially he has read the agreement and makes certain certifications and representations with respect to the city. Okay, so we will move forward with that. Thank you for coming down. See how many pieces and parts I can lose now. The next item on the agenda is a riveting one. Title 1 and Title 2 Committee to present revisions to the council. This is Title 1 and Title 2 of the city ordinances, followed by some discussion. I did, as I said, I would send those draft revisions to our city attorney, and he has responded, so I will start by reading his response. Thank you for asking me to review the proposed amendments to Title I and Title II of the Townsend Municipal Code. I appreciate your leadership in seeking legal review of the drafts before the council meeting. After my preliminary review, I believe legal involvement is necessary before the council takes any action on these drafts. The issues identified are not merely formatting or wording edits. Several provisions appear to require closer review for consistency with Montana municipal law, including the city's form of government, ordinance procedure, penalties, officer authority, public meeting requirements, inspection authority, and related statutory citations. Because the council is scheduled to review these drafts tomorrow evening, my recommendation is that council not vote to approve, advance, or otherwise make a substantive decision on either draft at that meeting. The safer course would be to receive public or council comment if desired, and then refer the drafts for legal review before any further action. Goes on to say, I am available to assist with that review and can provide a written issue list, proposed revisions, or a revised draft suitable for council consideration. I am also willing to meet with a committee or the full council to explain my comments and recommended edits, either with or without a written memorandum. My goal would be to help the city preserve the policy work already done while ensuring that any adopted amendments are legally sound and administratively workable. Please let me know how you would like to proceed. So, with that, are there any comments from council members relative to, let's just start with Title I.
I kind of wish that he separated his commentary between the two titles. Title I is the simpler of the two by a considerable amount and may not have required delay. Title II is going to take most of his focus. But we're kind of stuck with where it is. Title I hasn't changed since the last time it was brought before council.
Okay, are there any comments from council members relative to that? Seeing none, at this time, this is not final till it's final, we can move to Title II, which, as you see, that doesn't have any red line or strikeouts to it, because apparently the revisions were so extensive that the entire document would have.
It was rejected.
Okay, would have looked as though it had been superseded.
Yeah.
And so it reads as though it's new. And how would council like to proceed with this?
I personally would like to see Ed's suggestions before I make any comments on Title II.
Does council prefer that he work with the committee that has done the drafting?
Title I could probably go straight to council. Title II, his concerns probably ought to come to committee before we go straight to council, because I see his point, that we need to see what he's going to say about it, because II changed so much.
And I would say that because he included both titles in his response, that he has some comments relative to Title I as well. So with that, I would suggest that Titles I and II go back to committee, and I will let Ed know to work with committee members. Thank you. Let me say this, I appreciate the time and effort that the committee has put into updating these two titles. We certainly want to abide by statute.
Of course. Do we know what his status is with the telecom review?
I can address that further down in the agenda.
Yep.
Okay. So with that, this will refer back to committee. The next item on our agenda tonight is the SID appropriations amendment for fiscal year 2026. As you recall, we made the final payments on SID 5 and 6 as of June 30th, and in doing that, between the two SIDs, we had enough cash available to cover those payments. We didn't have the appropriation authority in all of the right places, so there is a budget amendment that follows the end of Title II. And the proposal is that we transfer remaining appropriation authority between our funds. So the total appropriations for the city will not increase. To that end, we are proposing that we move $14,600 of appropriation authority from the general fund, $1,137.50 from the SID. Yes. Oh, these documents, from SAD number 5, and $562.50 from SID number 6. Help me out here, Carrie. We're actually moving the appropriation authority into SID 5 and 6, or into the revolving?
We're moving it into the revolving.
Okay, that's where the bulk of the remaining cash was into the revolving. So we need to have the appropriation authority in the revolving fund. So we are transferring appropriation authority from the general fund, SID 5, SID 6, into the revolving fund, to the tune of a total of $16,300, and that will clear up SIDs 5 and 6 after the 20-some years. Okay?
Mayor, if you could take just a moment to remind the public what the money sitting in the revolving fund is doing and why.
Okay, when those bonds were issued, there's a certain amount of the money that had to be held back in reserve in the event of non-payment of SID assessments, and essentially to hold it in reserve in the event that not enough funds were collected through those assessments over the years to pay the bond. And any money remaining in the revolving fund after that final payment can sit there until such time as there is another SID